Hello, and welcome back to Mulana 2 with Brian for the last time. I've decided I'm not going to continue playing this game. I'm just not having enough fun with it. I haven't really been having a whole lot of fun with it for a while, so I just wanted to take a video where I kind of ramble on about my thoughts about this game. Yeah, but basically it's just, as you can probably tell if you've been watching the last few episodes of the series or whatever, it's just been dragging on. I've really been banging my head and decided, yeah, I'm not having fun with it. And I don't take kind of like ending a series incomplete like this. Like, I know it's kind of a disappointment to get invested in having watched 60 some odd videos of this or whatever and then like not have it come to any kind of ending or completion. And so I don't take that lightly. But I think I'm more okay with that than I used to be. I think some of that has actually come from my recent playthrough of Hollow Knight, where they added the Godhome stuff at the end, where things just get like more and more difficult and insane, and it's kind of fun and allows you to challenge yourself as much as you want, and keep trying to get better and better, but for any particular level of skill, like, you'll have to invest more and more time to get there, and at some point you might plateau, and so you have to be willing to just kind of like call it, because it's like the game is just going to keep pouring more and more at you for as much of it as you want to take, and so you have to be the person who decides, when is it that I've had enough and I've gotten the enjoyment that I wanted out of this game, and now it's time to put it aside. And so this game ends actually kind of a bit like my Environmental Station Alpha ended, which is, I got much closer to the very end of that game, but the same kind of thing in terms of like weird puzzles and frustration just in terms of trying to traverse the map to try to work on the puzzles and different things. And Environmental Station Alpha and La Mulana 2 are probably like the closest two games I know to each other, and kind of the only games, not that I'm super into tons of games or whatever, but the only games I'm aware of that are kind of in that genre of Metroidvania platformer puzzle game. La Mulana 2 obviously is a lot more heavy on the puzzles and not quite as much into the kind of like platforming and fighting, that kind of stuff. But they're both kind of in the same genre. And yeah, so I don't know. Overall, like, if you ask me about the things I like about this game, like, it's obviously, it's very deep. The platforming it's okay. It's like, it's good enough for the things that it wants to do. It's occasionally demanding, and a little bit kind of awkward, but it does what it wants to do pretty well, and there's a lot of different weapons and different upgrades and that kind of stuff. As a Metroidvania, the same kind of thing. There's lots of different maps, and you kind of like continually unlock more areas and different types of things and stuff like that, so that was all good. And definitely, if you asked me if I was enjoying or recommended the game 10 episodes in or 30 episodes in or whatever, like, I was definitely saying yes back then, that I was enjoying and recommended this game. And I think it's still the case, actually, that I would recommend this game, although I wouldn't recommend you play to the end. Everything I've read online says that the quality of the game goes down and continues to deteriorate the farther and farther into like the second half of the game you go. That's kind of evidence of a game that the developers kind of pushed out the door. There were a lot of major bugs that they went and fixed, but it sounds like the kind of latter portions of the game or whatever like just didn't get as much design and scrutiny as a lot of the earlier portions of the game did. And so my expectation is not that things would be getting better any later on in the game from what I have read. There are a number of puzzles that I would like to have solved. Things with kind of like the mysterious cracks that I saw going everywhere, and the Yuga puzzles with like the 4 things that I was going to have to put in things, and the going through the 7 doors and doom and gloom, which I think I kind of mostly know what I would need to do, maybe, but it's quite possible, as it always is in this game, that I would start doing it and I would just encounter some kind of roadblock and have little to no clue as to why it was even a roadblock until I found some other, or solved some other puzzle later in the game that's like, aha, you need this. Stuff like this, is it the flame torque? That's the ring. This is the flame torque. Yeah, that gives fire to my weapon, and like there was a boss that like I couldn't even really tell that I wasn't dealing damage to, and then I got this thing, and then all of a sudden I could damage him. Like, I don't know, maybe there were more clues about that, but it was just like you're up against a wall and you have no idea why, and then all of a sudden something unlocks, and it's like, okay, now you can move forward again. Although I didn't actually beat that boss because I'm not very good at the platforming. Yeah, so, yeah, this game, it had some good stuff. It's definitely the case. Oops, there's a doorway here? I guess this is where you originally came in, isn't it? I just accidentally pressed up over there. There isn't a map on this area. Is there anything new I can do on this area? This is, yeah, like the original start screen. I don't know that I've actually ever walked through here. Well, it's nice to know that there's always new things happening in this game, even in the final episode. Yeah, in any case, what was I saying? The apps, like, I never even figured out, like, what to do with a lot of the apps. It was a really interesting idea, and I mean, it's basically Hollow Knight charms. It's the same kind of thing. You can only equip a certain amount of them, and they have different costs, and they do different stuff. But a lot of the stuff they do is really cryptic, and isn't necessarily, yeah, clear where it's going to be useful. Text traps was kind of a nice way to be able to record a bunch of these clues. But the fact that there was only a finite number that you could record, and then it just fills up and you're out of room, was the stupidest decision ever. And so I ended up taking screenshots of a bunch of these to save them off to the side so I could still have room inside text tracks, and it was just a mess. Mantras, I guess there still are going to be like 3 or possibly even more mantras that I would eventually learn. Yeah, I was doing some reading online just to try to get a sense of how much is left in the game. It's still a lot. I'm like, I don't know. I think Steam tells me I've played like 80 hours of this game or whatever, and I think I still have like at least 40 hours to go if I were going to try to complete it, if I knew what I was doing. Yeah, but this game, it had a lot going for it, but I think it did too much for the way that the puzzles are structured. Like, definitely it's the case that I knew practically nothing going into this game about La Mulana, and I hadn't played the first one or whatever, and so, like, I remember the first couple of episodes, like, I didn't even know that you could use your hand scanner to scan the tablets, and so, like, people had to tell me that I could stand in front of this sign and press the button in order to read it. And so I was coming in kind of at a huge disadvantage, and I've kind of picked up a whole lot of things along the way. But nevertheless, if I had known more, I would have structured the notes that I took in this game differently. I definitely, rather than taking paper notes, I would have used like computer notes so that I could then, as I find clues, like group a bunch of them together. And I don't know, just keep better organized. I threw out all my notes. Like, I'm definitely not coming back to this game. And it's so nice to have all that clutter off my desk. But, I mean, I just had pages and pages of stuff, and a lot of things were already crossed out that were done, and then, you know, like, there'd be one note on this page, and then 7 pages down, there'd be a different note, and the 2 of them were going to be related, and all the, you know, monsters and bosses in this game, like, have, like, 28 character names that are names you've never heard of, and so, like, even trying to transcribe them is a giant pain in the neck, and so, for the scope of this game, like, I think it's just too much. Like, it's a nice idea, but the amount of text that you need to cross-reference, and the fact that every screen, like, Village of Departure, Elder's Castle, like, there's a name on the screen, and that name might actually become important at some point. And the only way to record it is to go to every screen on the map and press the select button so that this comes up so that you can read the name of the screen and then record it on your map so that sometime 10 hours from now, when you need to know the name of that screen, you'll actually know what it is. Like, for a smaller game, that would work. For a game as large as this, like, I think it doesn't work. And it's just kind of punishing or whatever. Yeah, so I think this game was too big. Some of its systems didn't scale well. If it had been a shorter game, it might have been good, or it might have been better. I mean, it's a good game. But, yeah, at the end of it, like, it's just gotten to the point to where the amount of enjoyment I'm getting out for the hours I'm putting in just doesn't cut it for me anymore. And so that's what makes me fine with just going ahead and dropping it. And so now I can go try to find other games that I'll enjoy more. So sorry for any of those of you who are disappointed that I won't be continuing. But this is just to inform you. It's not to ask your opinion. That I won't be continuing. And yeah, hopefully I'll find something else that I'm going to enjoy playing in the future. And if you have other game recommendations, feel free to leave them in the comments with a short summary of why you think I might like the game, and I might take a look. And yeah, I don't know. Hopefully that wasn't... I didn't actually like put together like notes on a speech, and so hopefully I hit most of the major topics that I wanted to hit about this game. But maybe I'll add some more other thoughts in the comments when I come back to it. But in any case, bye-bye, and I'll see you when I see you in some other game.